Hi there. Today we are going to build a fun and interactive word guessing game using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. This is a perfect project for those looking to enhance their web development skills. And I upload unique project videos every week. Make sure to subscribe our channel Sarachandar K and hit that notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. First, let's take a look at what we'll be creating today. Our Guess the Word game will allow players to choose animals, foods or sports. It helps us to get the words based on this option, and below we have a option to start the game. Once we start the game, we can see the int of this word. It says it has two wings and two legs. If you find this correct answer, let me know in the comments. Along with that, we have a idea icon here. This will help us to find the characters if we stuck somewhere in the game. We'll show you this feature in shortly, and below we have a two rows. The first row is empty. The second row contains some characters in it. Based on this, we need to form the word and tool will check the correct answer. For this int, the correct answer is bird. For the bird, first character is B. If I click, it will remove from here and it places it in the first row, and I and R and D. If it's correct, we'll get that bounce effect and tool will automatically jump to the next question. Here again we'll get some new int with new characters. Based on this, we need to form the word. So I will select some wrong word here. We'll get that shake effect. We'll enable the reset game option here. We can reset the game and we can select the options again. Else we can go back to the home. We'll get that game selection option. Now I will jump to the food. If I hit start, we'll get that new int and new characters. So for this int, I don't know the answer. So I'm going to use this idea icon. If I click, we'll get that first characters because we are in the position of first. The word contains B, the int saying it was baking and flour. So it may be a bread. So I'm going to select the word bread. Yes, it's correct. Now we'll get that bounce effect and it automatically jump to the next question. Here the first meal of the day is breakfast. So I will select B or E, A and K. For the next character, I don't know. Again, I'm going to use this idea icon. If I click, we'll get that F and then we'll select PAST. Now this is correct. We'll get that bounce effect and it will jump to the next question. Orange root vegetable is carrot. CARROT. It will get that correct one and we'll jump to the next question. Here the liquid form. We'll select this form ECI. If I go and click that idea icon, we'll get that red color because in this form we don't have any words to select from here. So only we are changing this to red color. For this we need to select all and then we need to reset again. This is the word for juice. I will select the correct answer and it will jump to the next question. It could be a candy. If I click, the first character is C, then the word is chocolate. Now it's correct and here we'll get that a lot because for each option we have only 5 questions. We have completed this 5 question and it will send the winning message word game completed back to home. I will hit on OK and I will click on back to home. We'll get the game selection again. We can click any of the option and we'll play the same. If you really enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you have any questions or suggestions. Make sure to subscribe. Your support means a lot. That helps me to create more content for you. Now let's jump into the code. Here on my desktop, I have already created a project folder name called Guess the Word. Let me open this into my favorite code editor, Visual Studio Code. I will drag this directory. Let me know yours favorite and why in our comment box below. Inside the directory, I have already created index.html, style.css and script.js. Along with that, in the index.html, I have added the HTML boilerplate. with the help of exclamation mark. I have changed the title to Guess the Word by Sharat Chandar K. And then below I have linked the style.css and script.js. Along with that, I have added one more link tag to use the font awesome icons with the help of font awesome CDN. Now inside the body, I am going to add the header with the help of h1 tag, header value as guess the word. Next to this, I am going to add the div with the help of class container. For this in Visual Studio Code, we have a embed abbreviation. To create that, I will use dot container. If we hit enter, it will automatically create the div element with class attribute with the value of container. Inside that, we need to create one more div with game cards. Inside the game cards, we need to create three more div. For that, dot cards asterisk 3. If we hit enter, it will create three div elements with the value of cards. Inside the card, we need to add the icons with the help of I element with the class value of FA solid. This is for font awesome icons and FA PAW. And below to this, I will add the text of animals. Same thing, I will copy and I will use it in the next two cards. Now we'll change the icons. Now we'll change the text for the second one as foods, third one as sports. Now next to the game code, we need to add one more div with class value of playground. Inside this playground, we are going to display the characters and we'll play the game. Inside the playground, I need to add one more heading tag with h2 class value of question int. And next to this, we'll add one more break element. This will help us to give some space and we'll create one more div with selected words. We'll create one more div for below to this with the class value of shuffle words. Now we'll add the buttons next to the playground with the class value of btn. Inside this btn, we'll add two buttons, button asterisk 2. If I hit enter, it will create the first button as start game, second button as reset game. For this button, we'll add the class of start game, second button of class value, reset selection. Now let us see our HTML file in action. For that in Visual Studio Code, we have an extension called Go Live. Once we click in this status bar, it will automatically run our project into the default browser. Here we can see the heading of guess the word, animals with icon, foods with icon and sports with icon. And below we can see the buttons. Now we need to style this. For that we need to jump to the style.css. I have already added the import URL of font family poppins. Along with that I have added the asterisk. This means a global selector. This will help us to reset the margin to 0, padding to 0 and box sizing, border box, font family poppins from an import URL. Now we need to add the styles to the body with the help of element selector name called body. For this, we'll set the background of blue color, then min I to 100 VH, display to flags. This will help us to set all the content into the center of the screen with the help of align items, center, justify content, center. We'll set the flux direction to be column. If I save, now we can see the changes automatically. That is how the live server will work. Now we can see the container is placed into the center of the screen. Now we need to style this container with the help of class selector with dot and then value of container. For this container, we'll set the background of white color, border radius to 10 px, padding inner spacing to be 25 px. We'll set the margin top to 10 px. We'll set the box shadow 14 px, 14 px and 0 and 0 position with the color of black. If I save, now we can see the container with white color and box shadow here. Now we need to add the styles to this game code with the help of same class selector with dot and value of game codes. We'll set display flags, line items to be center, justify content to be center. We'll set the gap of 25px of each code inside this game codes. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the gap of 25 and it's set to the center of the div. Now we need to add the styles to this codes with the help of class selector. We'll set the width of 100px, height of 100px, border radius 10px, cursor to pointer. We'll set the border 1px solid with same blue color. We'll set the background to white again. We'll set again display to flags, line items to be center, justify content to be center. We'll set the box shadow again for these cards also with 10px, 10px and 5px position of light blue color. We'll set the flux direction to column, font size to 18px. We'll set user select to none. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the codes, but the width is 10 here. We need to set to 100. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the codes with box shadow. Now once we over, we need to change the color of this. I will use the codes of over. We'll set the background to blue color again. We'll set the color of white. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I over, we'll get this color. Once we select, we need to set the same color to this. For that, we'll add one more class with codes dot active. Whenever we set this active to this code, then we'll set this default as this background color. Now we need to style these buttons. First we need to place this button into the center of the div. With the help of this btn, we'll set text align to be center. We'll set some outer margin spacing of top 20px. If I save, now we can see the buttons into the center of the div. Now we'll add the styles to the button with the help of btn and then element selector of button. For this button, we'll set the height of 40px. We'll set the padding inner spacing 10px, top and bottom, right and left to 25px. We'll set the margin outer spacing to be 10px, border radius to 10px. We'll remove the border with the help of border none, same as outline to none. We'll set the background to blue color. We'll set the cursor to pointer. We'll set the same box shadow of the code. So I will copy this and I will use it here on the button. We'll set the user select to none. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the button style with box shadow effect. Now we have added the styles to this container game code as well as the buttons. For this playground, first time we need to set this playground as display to none. We are not going to set this as visible on the load. Once we start the game, then only we need to get that playground. So inside the playground, we need to add some boxes to style this. First, I will add int of please subscribe. And then inside this, we need to add some boxes. So I will add dot box into 4. Same thing, I will copy and I will paste it below also. Now I have set these things to none. We need to style this. Instead of none, I will set to block. Now we can see the please subscribe text here. We need to style this. For this, we have already added the class of this with question int. For the question int, we'll change the text transform to capitalize and user select to none. We'll set the text align to be center. If I save, we can able to see the text into the center and we need to add the styles to these boxes with the help of dot selected words. We'll set the display to flags. This will help us to align all the boxes into the center of the div. We'll set the gap of 25px, flux direction to be row, align items to be center. justify content to be center. We'll set the margin bottom to 25 px. For these two things, we need to use the same. So I will copy and paste this class value also. Now we need to add the styles to these boxes with the help of this two class selector. Along with that, I need to add one more class with dot box because inside this div we have all the boxes. So I will set like this. For these boxes, we'll set width of 55 px, height of 55 px. We'll set the background of blue color, border radius to 10 px. We'll set the display flux again. Align items center, justify content center. We'll set the font size to 2 rem. We'll set the font weight to bold, color of white, text transform to capitalize, cursor to pointer, user select none. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the boxes inside the two divs. These are all the boxes we need to set for dynamic. For the design purpose, I have added this. Now same as this, I need to disable this reset button also on the first time. So I will make use of this same class dot. For this reset button, we have the class of reset selection. Now we'll set to display none. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the playground as well as the reset button. Once we click here and we need to select the options and we need to start the game. Once we start the game, we need to get the dynamic boxes based on the int. We'll do this functionality with the help of JavaScript. For that, we need to jump to the script.js. First, we need to declare all the declaration with the help of const. I will set the game codes of value equal to document is an owner of your web page dot query selector. The value of this class value, we need to use this as dot because this is a class, and we'll check this what this code game contains with the help of console.log. If I save, if I go to the browser, here in the insert element of console, we'll get this entire DOM list of that game element. Inside this, we have three codes with icons. With the help of this declaration, we need to achieve that functionalities. Here I have added all the declarations what I am going to use in this project. If you want, you can pause the video and make use of it. First, we need to add the event listener to select the codes. For that, here in the all codes, this contain game selector and then codes with the help of query selector all. This query selector all will get all the elements inside this parent div. So I will show you all codes dot for each with the help of code. Inside this, we'll add the console.log of code. If I save, if I go to the browser, here in the console, we can get all the three codes inside this game codes. For this each code, we need to add the event listener. So that is very simple. We can use this parameter of code dot add event listener of click with function of e. Inside this, we can check what is that e contains console.log of e. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on animals, we'll get that entire pointer event. Instead of this e, will change to e.target. If I save, if I go and click, now we'll get that code. So based on this, we need to add the active class. What we have already added the styles to that. Here we have a option to add the class with e.target.class list dot add of active. I will check this active class here. This is what the active class. I will copy and paste here. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on animal, now we can see the animal code background color set to blue. If I go and check this game codes inside this, the first code it has added the active. If I click on food, here we can see the active class is added. If I click on sports, we can see the active class is added. Once we click the options, for other options, we need to remove the classes. For that, we have already added this for each. With the help of this for each, here I will change to el, this element el dot class list dot remove this active. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on animals, we can see the active class is added. If I click on foods, it will remove the active class from here and added to here. If I click on sports, here it is removed and it was added to the sports. And once we refresh, there is no default selection. That also we need to fix. For that, I need to jump to the index.html. Here for the animals, I need to set active for default for all the times. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, the animal is set by default and we need to get the selection items based on this element. So we can use the attribute with the value of data options equal to animals. The same thing I will use for other two cards also. I will use this value of all the three. Now we can make use of this data options. We can get the data option based on the attribute. For that we can set the console.log of e.target.get attribute of that data option. I will copy this attribute value and I will place it here. If I save, if I go to the browser, here in the console, now it is empty. If I click on sports, we'll get. If I click on food, we'll get that. If I click on animals, we'll get that. Based on this, we can get else one more way dot inner HTML or inner text. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click, we'll get this. If I click, we'll get this. So we can use either with the attribute or inner text. Now I will go with that get attribute. We need to set this get attribute to the global variable. I will create some global variable of this default project selection. Let selected options equal to animals by default because we have added the active class to this animals, and here we'll set the question count equal to 0 and then idea count equal to true. We'll let you know what are these parameters doing. First we'll use this selected options equal to e dot or get attribute of that data options. With the help of this we need to get the collection of arrays. For this I have already created three types of arrays. I will show you here with a help of copy paste. So I have pasted that three set of arrays. This is what the first array of animals, this is what the int, and this is what the answer. Here we have total 5 questions on each arrays. This is what the food array, and this is what the sport array. With the help of this, based on this selection, we need to pick the questions, we need to shuffle these characters. Based on these characters we need to form the word. For this, once we hit start the game, we need to do that operation. For that we'll create one more add event listener of start game dot add event listener. This is what the start game button. For this event listener of click, because we are going to click this with the help of function brackets. Inside this we need to enable and disable the start games as well as the playground. For that simply we can add the conditional statement to check this if start game dot inner HTML or inner text. Now we'll use the inner text to find the text only double equal to start game. If we check, now this is a start game. If this is a start game, we need to disable that game codes dot style dot display equal to none, and we need to enable the playground with the help of playground dot tile dot display equal to block, and we need to change the start game dot inner text equal to back to home. If it is back to home, we need to add the else condition. For this else condition we need to change all the three parameters of this will flex again because we need to set this into the center. This will as none. For the button text should be game start. If I save, if I go to the browser, we'll select the food or sports. If I start the game, we can see the playground is enabled with the int of please subscribe with multiple boxes. If we click back to home, we'll get the game selection here. Once we start the game, we need to enable that reset button also, right? For that reset button, we have a reset selection of the class value. We'll set that style of display equal to to block. We'll hide that on the start game with help of none. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit and start game, now we'll get the back to home and then reset icon in a two line. We need to fix this of this button. Okay, instead of this block will set to inline. This will help to set the buttons in inline. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit on start, now we can see the two buttons is in same line. Now once we start the game, we need to get this as dynamic, right? For that we need to create one more function with function keyword with the function name of start to guess the word. Inside the function, we need to clear all the boxes on this each div. I will set this selected word dot inner HTML equal to null. The same thing for shuffle words. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, it will not clear because we have created the function. We have not yet initialized it. We need to initialize whenever we are clicking the start game. So in the start game, I will initialize this function. Now I'll hit on start game. We can't see the boxes here because we are clearing all the inner HTMLs. I will jump to the index.html. Now there is no need of these boxes. Anyway, we are going to create as dynamic. I will clear. Then why again here we are clearing, right? That is what next question is. Because once we generated the questions, once we navigate to the next question, we need to clear. So only here also we are clearing. Here we need to pick the array based on the selection. For that, selected options double equal to animals, else if selected option double equal to foods, else we can create this conditional operator, and again I will create two more let declaration of selected option of selected array equal to empty array and then a random word equal to empty. Now with the help of this selected array, we need to add this selected array equal to animal selection. Same thing for food. We'll change this animals to food. If it is not the both condition, we'll set to sports. Now I will do a console.log to check what is this selected array contains. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, here we'll get that 5 questions. I will click on back to home. Here I will click on food. Again I will start the game. Again I will go back to the home. I will click on sports. I will hit start the game. Now here we can see the three different arrays of questions. One is for animals, one is for food, one is for sports. With the help of this array, we can display the int as well as the boxes. First, we'll change this text of please subscribe to that question int. I will jump to the index.html. I will remove this please subscribe from here, and we are going to add the int from that array question int dot inner HTML equal to, we are going to add the concatenation of selected array of question count. This question count value is 0. We have created as a global declaration. First we'll get as 0 and with dot question. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, it has two wings and two legs. This is what the int from the first question, and here we have the word. We need to shuffle the characters and we need to display it. Here along with the question, we need to add one more icon here. I will use the string concatenation with space icon of I element of class of FA solid FA light bulb. We'll close this I icon. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, here we can get that bulb icon. Once we click, if we stuck somewhere, we'll get that character. With the help of that, we need to easily find the words. That feature, we'll do it in shortly. For the next one, we need to get the word from that array. So I will use this random words. This random words is an array, but here the words is in string. Like this is for bird, this is a single string. We need to split this string as array and we need to pass it here. For that, random words equal to same selected array of question count dot word. I will add the console.log to check. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, we'll get this as a string. We need to make it as an array of each characters with the help of dot split of double quotes. This will get all the characters of split with each. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start, here we can see the bird string with BIRD. Now with the help of this string, we need to add the boxes. If random words not equal to null, then we'll add the random words dot for each. Inside that, we'll add the character of char. We'll create let div1 equal to document dot create element. This will help us to create the element from the JavaScript of div. I will copy and I will paste it same declaration of div2, because here we are going to create two set of boxes. The first set of boxes is empty. We need to fill that boxes based on the characters to find the word. And for the first div, we'll add the class list of class list dot add of box, because we are creating this as a box of the styles. With that help of div, we'll use it for second div also, and we need to append this into the selected words dot append of div1, and this is for shuffled words dot append of div2. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit on start game, we'll get that four characters, because for this question we have four characters. I will go back to the home, I will go for foods. If I start the game, we'll get five boxes, because for this word we have a five characters. Again I go back to the home, I will hit on sports. Here we'll get six boxes. So we can check the words also here. For that we need to set this words into the second div only. Div2 dot inner HTML equal to this char. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit on start, we'll get this in for the word is bird. So we are getting the four boxes. For the food, for the baking a day is bread. If I click on back, if I start the game, this is was the boxing. If like this, so user directly click and find the words, right? We need to shuffle this. How we can do that? For that we need to create one more const with shuffle equal to array. We'll pass this array as a parameter. For this we'll create this for loop let equal to I, and then I length of array dot length minus 1. For this I greater than 0, we'll set I minus minus. Inside this for each, we'll add one more const of j equal to math dot floor math dot random asterisk I plus 1. And now we'll shuffle this array of array. Inside the array, we'll set the array I comma array j equal to, inside the array we'll shuffle the j with array of I, and we'll return the array from here. If I save, if I use this shuffle word inside this if condition, we'll create one more let with check random equal to random words. We'll call this shuffle word, and then we'll pass that random word from here. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit start game, now we can see the difference. Previously it was BIRD, now it was BRDI. Again I will restart, we'll get that shuffled characters. If I hit again, we'll get that shuffled characters on many times. So that sometimes we'll get that characters and then words should be same. For that time we'll check if check random double equal to this random words of that shuffled. Again we'll call the shuffle from here. This is some rare case, it will happen if you're not understanding this shuffle. Check our previous video of that memory card game. There we have clearly explained how this shuffle array will work. Now if I save again, if I go to the browser, if I start game, we'll get that. If I start game, we'll get that. Now once we click, we need to remove this B and we need to form the word here, right? For that click, we need to add the event listener. For this div2 dot add event listener of click, and then function of e will set the e dot target dot inner text equal to null. Will change the background color of this target style of background equal to light gray. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, if I click the word is removing from here, then we need to append it for here. For that we need to create one more function of function keyword choose what to guess. For that we'll pass this character, we use this function here and we'll pass the characters from here of e dot target dot inner text. Here we'll get that character from that click. Now we need to place the characters on top of this box. For this box we need to get all the boxes. I will create one more declaration of const boxes equal to document dot query selector all of dot will get that selected word and then box. If we declare this declare on the top, we'll get the error because we are creating the selected words of that box once we start the game. So only I'm using this declaration after clicking the box. Here boxes dot for each of box inside this box dot inner text equal to the character. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, if I click, it was adding b for all the values. So we need to restrict and add only once. For that we need to add one declaration of let is word placed equal to true and total words equal to 0, correct words equal to null. With the help of this declaration, the first time once we click this should be a true, then I will check if this is true, then only we are going to add and box dot inner text double equal to null, then only we need to set this character here. And once we placed this, we need to set that is word placed equal to false. Then this will not place the characters again in the boxes. If I go and start the game, if I click on B, now this is true for the first time. On the for each, we'll checking this is true, that will add the characters, and here we'll setting the false, and then second loop it will false, then here not will add. So again if I click on or, if I click on I, if I click on D, it will added into this box. Once we added all these values, we need to check the correct word, right? For that inside this for each box dot inner text not equal to null, then we'll add the correct words plus equal to box dot inner text, and then we'll set the total words plus plus. Here we can check this console dot log of correct words and total word. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start the game, here B I or D. Now here we'll get this B I or D and then 4. Once this all the characters fills, then only we can check that. So for that we need to create one more function to check the words. The help of function keyword, the function name of check selected word, and we'll pass the correct answer inside this function. Again we need to get that declaration of that selected words. Next to this we can check the console.log of correct word of selected array of question count dot word, and then correct answer also what we are passing from there. So I can call this function from here of correct words. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start, we'll check that BI or D. So every time this is hitting, so this should avoid. So here we can see the difference. The whatever we are selecting from this, from the array, this is small characters, and what we are selecting from this box, this is capitalized. So we need to change that. So here for this box dot inner HTML, we'll set this inner HTML text to lowercase, and then this function should not call for every time. Once all the boxes filled, then only we need to call. So how we can handle that? With the help of if we have the total words double equal to, we have set this random words of this shuffled array from the selected words. With the help of this random words dot length, if this total words from these boxes and then random word from the selection. If both matches, then only we need to call this. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start, we'll get this. If I click B, still the console is empty. Once we filled all the values, then only this should fire. See now the both bird and bird is correct. Then this is correct. We need to add some effect and we need to jump to the next question. For that here, we'll change this console.log to if condition. If this word double equal to correct words, then only we can set this boxes dot for each of box. We'll add some animation effect to the box dot last list dot add of match. I go to the browser here in the element inside the playground. The to div is empty. Once we start the game, we have appended all the boxes. So here I will set for B, I or D. Once it's matches, here we can't able to see the class is added to here. Check that. I will go to the source script.js. Will debug this function. If I go back to the home, again I will start B, I or D. Now here the correct word is bird and this is also bird. If I click box.class list, now it is adding to this. Once it's added, we need to add some bounce effect. For that, I need to jump to the style.css. For this box.match, if this match class attribute is added, we are having that animation of that rubber band. This is what the effect we are adding. If you want to know more about this, check our memory code game. We are using that rubber band effect and shake effect to that code matches and not matches. Now again I will refresh, I will start the game, I will add that bi or d. Now the class is added. If I hit, now we can't see the rubber band effect to this because we have not saved. So I will save, I will jump to the browser. If I refresh, if I start the game, I will add bi or d. If it is match, we can see the bounce effect. Once this is matched, we need to add the bounce effect. If I start game, if I add wrong one, we need to add the shake effect to this. For the shake effect also, we'll use the same keyframe and animation to this. I will paste it here for this box.shake. And in the script.js, this is match. We need to add the match. Else, we'll use the same for each and we'll add the class of shake here. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will start the game. I will select some random. Now we can see the shake effect to that. Now I need to enable that reset of the game. Once we get that, so I will start the game. Every time the reset game is enabled. So I need to set for disable the reset game all the time. So whenever we start the game, we need to add to disable of this reset selection of set attribute of disabled of true. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, now we can able to see this and we need to enable this whenever the word is not matching. So after the shake, we need to set to false here. If I save, again I will jump to the browser, I will start. Now we can see the reset button is disabled. I will select the wrong word. Now we'll get that shake effect, but still it is not enabled. So instead of false, we need to remove this attribute. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will start the game. We'll select some random. Now we'll get and the reset game is enabled. Once we click, we need to reset here. For that, this reset selection dot add event listener of click function of e inside this start to guess the word function and will set the reset selection of set attribute disabled of true. What this function will do once we click this reset, inside this function will clear two boxes and again we'll check this and based on this question count we'll get that question and word. Again it will set the same for an playground. We'll check that. So I will jump to the browser. I will add some random. If I click, we'll get that shake effect and then reset button also enabled. If I click, see we have cleared and added the words here. Now again we'll click. Now it's enabled. If I click, it will be reset and it will be set here. Now once we click the correct word, we'll set the bounce effect and we need to jump to the next question. For that, inside this selected check word, we'll set some set timeout function of 2000 millisecond for 2 seconds. Then we'll add the question count of plus plus. And again we'll set the start to guess the word function. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, we'll get that same question B I or D. If this is wrong, I will reset B I or D. Now this is correct. We'll get 2 seconds and then automatically change to the next question. Now this is cat. Now this is chicken. It will automatically jump to the next question. Long nose. This is this is an elephant. It will jump to the next question. A very long neck and long legs. That is a giraffe. Then we'll get the error. Cannot read property of undefined for the question because here we have reached the limit of 5. Right now we have only arrays of 5 question. We need to restrict that and inform the user to that winner message. We'll check that question count less than 5. Then we'll call this guess the word function. Else we'll display the alert message to the user. Word game completed. Then back to home. So I will set this. Now instead of 5 I will set to 1. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will start the game. I will select the characters. We'll check that bounce effect. We'll get that alert message. Word game completed. Back to home. The same thing will applicable for count of 5. If we have array of 5, 10, 20, based on this, we need to change this value. Now the pending thing is I will select for sports. If I start the game, now yes, sports where 2 players it. For this, I don't know the answer. If you know, let me know in the comments first. And once we click, we need to get that characters of where we have stuck. That is what the thing is pending for now. So for this, I need to create one more function with the help of function keyword and then function name of check first word idea, and then I will set to bulb here. We need to call this check first word into this on click on that int question equal to that function name, and we'll pause this from here. Then we'll check what this bulb contain from that this. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit start game, if I click on this, we'll get that entire element. That is how this will work. Inside this, we'll create const equal to boxes 1. Inside this, we'll create const boxes 1 equal to query selector of all these boxes. I will copy and paste here for these selected boxes, and then same as box 2 for shuffled words. Why I have declared two const here? Because once we click, we need to pick the word from here and we need to set on the top right. For that, we need to check let next word equal to 0. First we'll check what is the words of where we have stacked with the help of box 1 dot for each, and then box inside this if box dot inner text not equal to null, we'll set the next word plus plus. Now based on this next word, we need to get the parameters from the answer. For the answer of let find idea equal to selected array of question count dot word dot plate, because we need to get the characters of where we have stacked. We need to split same as this, and we need to get the next word character from here. We'll do the console.log to find the word of idea. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will click on start. If I click on bulb, we'll get the B all the time because here we have not selected. If I select the B, now the character should be 2. If I click, now what we'll get? If I click, we'll get that I because the second character is I. If I click as idea, we'll get that or. If I click, we'll get that D. Now the answer is correct. The same thing we need to do whenever we click this idea, we can get this word and we need to place it from here. For that, we have already created this box 2. I will use the for each of let box of this boxes 2. Inside this for each, we'll get all the boxes if box dot inner text dot to lowercase double equal to find idea of that character here, if this is matches, we are going to click that box with the help of JavaScript. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click start game, if I click, it will automatically click from here and it will remove the value from here and it will place it on the top. So I can click, it will set for all the words and it will jump to the next word. Here also we can click, we'll get from here and we can check all the words. See, now we have 2C here. So now first time whenever click, we have get the C of 2 times because for the chicken we have 2C. We need to break from here from once we get the C. Think you didn't understand. I will go back to the home. Still the same word. If I click on this bulb, we'll get C for 2 times. Why? Because for this eggs and meat, that is chicken is the word, we have one C character of first. Anyway, in the list, we have 2Cs. So only it was getting 2C and placed on top of the box. So we need to restrict with the help of break. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will start the game. This is the first word. This is what the cat. And if I click, now we'll get only one C and then chicken. Now we'll get the second C here, chicken, and we'll get for this elephant and we'll get for giraffe. Now we'll get the word game completed. Go to home. So I will go to home. This will applicable for all the places, but here if we go to the home and we switch back, we are getting cannot read property of undefined because once we go back to the home, still the question count of here it's 5. Show you of this question count, we'll check from here. See the value of 5 is there. We need to reset that. So here in the start game of this value of else, we'll set the question count equal to 0. So this will help to get whenever we go to home all the time that should get from 0. So previously we have added this and here we have hit the back button and again we start, we'll get that chicken, right? So instead of that every time it reset to 0 and we'll get the first question here. So I will go back here in the food, we'll add this as a bread. It will jump to the next question. The first meal of the day is breakfast. And this is for carrot. And the next word is juice because this is from the fruit and this is for chocolate. Now we'll get the word game completed alert message. So again I will go back to the home. I will jump to the sports for now. This is for the fight, that is boxing. And then next question is club game, that should be golf. For this ones with Ike, that is hockey. For this is a basketball of that 5 players and this is for the fish is fishing. So now we'll get the word game completed. User can directly click this ID icon and they can get the answers. There is no use on that, right? We need to restrict that for only one time. For that, we have already declared one declaration on above. If ID account that is true for default, this is true and will set to false from end of this. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, if I click, we'll get that first characters. If I click the second time, it won't work. So for the identity, user need to know we have already used this ID icon. So for that, I can add the colors to this with the help of bulb dot style dot color equal to blue color. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, if I click, now this is B and here it is enabled. If we click again, it won't work. We need to add this. Now I need to reset. If I click, still it is not working. Why? Because we have said that once we reset or we need to go to the next question, that time we need to enable that. See, still it is not working. So for that, whenever we changing this, we need to enable that. For this ID account, we need to set to true here because we are going back to the home and whenever we are shuffling and we are generating the new question, that time also we need to allow for only one. So I will use this from here. If I go to the browser, if I start the game, BI, if I click, we'll get from any of the index, should be first or it should be lost. If I click, it is going to the next. If I click now, we are not getting because this idea icon will not work because this is a wrong form of word. That time we need to set the different color and user know this word is not in correct form already what they have selected. For that, when this is wrong, we'll set that else condition and we'll set the color of this to red. If I start the game, if I click, there is no such word like this. If I click, now we'll get the bulb icon to this. If I click, we need to reset and we need to get that. If it is is red color, then we can add the reset icon to enable this. So I will use this reset selection of remove attribute. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, I have selected this IR. If I click this, now we don't have any word like this and we cannot form the word to the next character. So we have showed this as a red color and here the reset game button will enable. So we can reset it as well as the bulb also. We can click. If I select the correct form, it will get an idea and will get the characters. If I refresh, if I start the game, we'll get this. If I click, it will find the first word. I can reset and I can select B and I. If I click this, we'll get the third character. And if I click, we'll get that bounce effect and then it will automatically jump to the next question or we'll get the cat. Here we can click this bulb icon to check the first characters. This will from chicken and then this is correct. It will jump to the next question. This is elephant and it will jump to the next question. This is giraffe. Now we'll get that bounce effect and all the quiz is completed and we'll get the word game completed back to home. I will say okay and I will jump to the home. Again we can select and we'll play the game as same. Finally, we have completed word guessing game built with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I hope this video will be helpful for you. Please like and share this video and also subscribe to my channel Sarat Chandar K to watch more like this one. If you are interested JavaScript projects like this, I have created and added a playlist link in the description. Please do check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep coding and keep learning. See you in the next video. Happy coding. Bye for now. Have a nice day.